The giant space station looked like a metal city floating in the darkness. Kepler Station was bigger than most planets, with millions of lights blinking on its surface. Ships from across the galaxy came here to dock at its many ports. Today was special. Today was the start of the Galactic Fighting Tournament. Lisa Kane pressed her face against the small window of their transport ship. She had never seen anything like this before. Back on Earth, the biggest arena she fought in held maybe 20,000 people. This place could hold millions. "First time seeing something this big?" asked Jake Morrison, her trainer. He was an old man with gray hair and scars on his hands from years of fighting and training fighters. Jake had been in the military before he started training people like Lisa. "It's huge," Lisa said. She was 24 years old, not very tall, but her body was strong from years of training. Her brown hair was tied back tight, and her green eyes were always watching, always thinking. "How many people live here?" "About 50 million, last I heard," Jake said, "and most of them will be watching you fight." Lisa felt her stomach jump a little. She had fought in front of crowds before, but never this many people, and never against aliens. The ship docked with a loud clang. Through the speakers, a voice spoke in a language Lisa didn't understand, then switched to English. "Welcome to Kepler Station. All passengers must go through customs and health checks." Jake grabbed their bags. "Remember what we talked about? These aliens think we're weak. They think humans are soft and easy to break. Let them think that." Lisa nodded. They had planned this for months. Earth had finally been invited to join the Galactic Fighting Federation. It was a big honor, but also dangerous. The aliens who fought in these tournaments were much bigger and stronger than humans. They walked through the docking bay with the other passengers. Lisa saw her first real aliens up close. There were tall blue creatures with 4 arms, short, round beings that looked like they were made of rock. Things that looked like giant insects walking on 2 legs. All of them stared at Lisa and Jake. The humans were different. They had no claws, no thick skin, no natural armor. They looked soft and pink and breakable. "Look at them," one of the blue aliens said to his friend. "How did they even survive long enough to build spaceships?" "Their planet must be very safe," the friend replied. "No real predators, no dangerous weather. They probably never had to fight for anything." Lisa kept walking and said nothing. Jake had taught her to listen but not react. Information was power in fighting. They reached their assigned quarters deep in the station. The room was small but clean. Jake turned on the screen that showed news from around the galaxy. "And now for tournament news," the alien reporter said. She looked like a tall bird with purple feathers. "Earth's representative will face Krextar of Gorvak Prime in the opening round. This will be Krextar's 4th tournament. He has never lost a fight." The screen showed videos of Krextar's past fights. He was huge, maybe 9 feet tall, with thick gray skin that looked like armor. His arms were as big as Lisa's whole body. In the videos, he punched opponents so hard they flew across the arena and didn't get up. "The Earth fighter is Lisa Kane," the reporter continued. "She is much smaller than typical tournament fighters. Many are questioning whether this match is safe." Jake turned off the screen. "Don't watch too much of that. It'll just make you nervous." But Lisa wasn't nervous about Krextar. She was thinking about her training back on Earth. Every day for 2 years, she had run up mountains carrying heavy packs. She had fought against men twice her size. She had been hit by trucks in training accidents and gotten back up. Earth was a hard world. The gravity was strong. The weather could kill you. Wild animals hunted humans for food. Every human alive was tough because the weak ones didn't survive. The aliens didn't know this. They thought Earth was peaceful and safe because humans looked soft. There was a knock on the door. Jake opened it to find Dr. Amy Foster, a scientist from Earth who had come to study alien cultures. "How are you feeling?" Amy asked Lisa. "Good," Lisa said. "Ready?" Amy sat down and pulled out her tablet. "I've been talking to the other species here. They're all very interested in humans. Most have never seen our kind before." "What do they think?" Jake asked. "They think we're weak," Amy said. "They can't understand how we survived long enough to develop technology. One alien scientist told me that Earth must be classified wrong in their databases. They have it listed as a Class 9 death world, but he thinks that's impossible." "What's a death world?" Lisa asked. Amy smiled. "A planet so dangerous that most species couldn't survive there for a day. High gravity, extreme weather, deadly animals, poisonous plants. According to their scale, Class 9 is almost uninhabitable. But we live there just fine," Jake said. "Exactly," Amy replied. "They think it's a mistake in their computer systems. They can't believe that intelligent life could evolve on such a dangerous planet." Lisa stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the main arena. It was huge, with thousands of seats arranged in circles around a fighting platform. Tomorrow she would step onto that platform and face Krextar. "Let them think we're weak," she said quietly. "It'll make this easier." Jake smiled. He had trained Lisa well. She understood that in fighting, the mind was just as important as the body. If your opponent thought you were weak, they would make mistakes. The next morning, Lisa woke up early and went to the station's gym. She was surprised to find other fighters there. They all stopped and stared when she walked in. A creature that looked like a giant lizard laughed. "Look, the little human wants to exercise. How cute." Lisa ignored him and began her workout. She lifted weights that would be heavy for most humans. To the aliens watching, it probably looked like she was struggling with toy weights. After an hour, she was covered in sweat but still going strong. The alien fighters had all left. They couldn't understand how such a small creature could exercise for so long without stopping. Lisa finished her workout and headed back to her room. Tonight was the opening ceremony. Tomorrow was her fight with Krextar. As she walked through the station's corridors, she passed groups of aliens all talking about the tournament. She heard her name mentioned many times, usually followed by laughter. "The human won't last 10 seconds, one said. "I bet Krextar will try not to hit her too hard," said another. "He might break her by accident." Lisa kept walking. Let them laugh. Let them think she was weak and helpless. Tomorrow, they would learn the truth about humans. Tomorrow, they would learn what it meant to be from a death world. The opening ceremony was like nothing Lisa had ever seen. The arena was packed with creatures from across the galaxy. The lights were bright and colorful, and music played that sounded like nothing from Earth. Lisa sat in the fighters section with Jake. Around them were the other tournament competitors. Most were twice her size or bigger. Some had natural weapons like claws or spikes. Others had thick armor-like skin. They all looked at Lisa like she was a joke. "Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all kinds," announced the host, a creature with many tentacles and a voice that echoed through the arena. "Welcome to the 847th Galactic Fighting Tournament." The crowd roared. The sound was so loud that Lisa felt it in her chest. "This year, we have a special treat," the host continued. For the first time, we welcome fighters from the planet Earth. A spotlight found Lisa in the crowd. She stood up and waved. The audience clapped politely, but she could tell they weren't excited. They were curious, like people watching a new animal at a zoo. Earth's representative will face our 3-time champion, Krextar of Gorvak Prime, in tomorrow's opening match. Another spotlight found Krextar. He stood up slowly, and the crowd went wild. He was even bigger than he looked in the videos. His skin was gray and thick like elephant hide. His arms were covered in scars from old fights. Krextar looked down at Lisa and smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of a predator looking at easy prey. After the ceremony, Lisa went back to her room to prepare. Jake had videos of all of Krextar's fights loaded on his tablet. "Watch his left hand," Jake said as they studied the footage. "He always leads with his right, then follows with a left hook. That's his favorite combination." Lisa watched carefully. Krextar was strong and fast for his size, but he always fought the same way. He used his strength to overpower opponents quickly. Most fights ended in under a minute. "He's never had to fight long," Lisa observed. "Look at his breathing in the longer fights. He gets tired after 5 minutes. Jake nodded. "That's his weakness. He's built for power, not endurance. If you can survive his first attacks, you might have a chance." There was a knock on the door. Dr. Amy Foster came in with Captain Roy Bennett, the man who had piloted their ship from Earth. "How are you feeling?" Amy asked. "Ready," Lisa said. Roy sat down heavily. He was a big man with kind eyes, but he looked worried. "Lisa, I've been talking to some of the other ship captains. They're all saying the same thing. No one thinks you can win. Some are even taking bets on how quickly you'll lose." "What are the odds?" Jake asked. 500 to 1 against you," Roy said. "I put some money down anyway." Amy pulled out her tablet. "I've been studying the other species here. Do you want to know what I've learned about Gorvaks?" Lisa nodded. "They come from a low-gravity world with very little dangerous wildlife," Amy explained. "Their thick skin evolved to protect them from their sun, not from predators. They're strong, but they've never had to develop real fighting skills. They just overpower things." "What about us?" Lisa asked. Amy smiled. "Humans are different. We come from a world where everything wants to kill us. Our ancestors had to hunt animals bigger and stronger than themselves. We learned to use tools, work together, and never give up." She showed them pictures on her tablet. "Look at this. A human hunter from Africa can run down an antelope by chasing it for hours until it collapses from exhaustion. We call it persistence hunting. We're not the fastest or strongest, but we never stop." Lisa had heard this before, but it was good to remember. On Earth, humans were predators. They were the ones other animals feared. Meanwhile, on the other side of the station, Krextar was in his own quarters. His trainer, an old Gorvak warrior named Thekmor, was trying to get him to study videos of Lisa's fights. "You should watch these," Thekmor said. "Know your enemy." Krextar waved his hand dismissively. "Why? She's tiny. She has no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. I could break her with one punch." "The humans must be tougher than they look," Thekmor argued. "Otherwise, how did they build spaceships and join the Federation?" "They probably never had to fight anything," Krextar said. "Their world must be very peaceful. They look like they've never seen real violence." Thekmor shook his head, but said nothing more. Krextar was proud and stubborn. He had won every fight for 3 years. He thought he was unbeatable. Across the station, other aliens were having similar conversations. In the Crystal Gardens, a group of Vortakan warriors were discussing the upcoming fight. "It's almost cruel," said one, his diamond-hard skin glittering under the lights. "The human looks so fragile, like she's made of soft meat." "I heard their planet has weak gravity," said another. "They probably can't even throw a proper punch." In the deep water section, the aquatic delphinins were making similar comments. "I've studied their anatomy," gurgled one. "No natural weapons. At all. They don't even have poisonous bites like most predator species." "How did they survive long enough to evolve intelligence?" asked another. But not everyone was so dismissive. In a quiet corner of the station, an old alien called Wisdom Keeper Zenth was reading files about Earth. Zenth belonged to a species called the Archivists. They collected and studied information from across the galaxy. Zenth's multiple eyes moved quickly as he read. Earth's classification as a Class 9 death world. The extinction events that had shaped its evolution, the ice ages that had forced its creatures to adapt or die. "Interesting," Zenth whispered to himself. "Very interesting." He called up more files, videos of Earth's wildlife. Lions hunting in packs, sharks in the oceans, bears that could crush cars, humans living alongside all of these creatures and not just surviving, but thriving. Zenth had seen many species join the Federation over his long life. Most came from safe worlds with low gravity and few predators. Earth was different. Earth was dangerous in ways that most aliens couldn't imagine. He made a note in his files. Recommend closer study of human physiology and combat capabilities. Back in Lisa's quarters, she was finishing her final preparations. She had eaten a light meal and drunk plenty of water. She had stretched and warmed up her muscles. Jake sat across from her, watching her calm face. In all the years he had trained her, he had never seen her afraid before a fight. She was always focused. Always. "Ready? You know what you have to do," he said. Lisa nodded. "Survive the first few minutes, let him get tired, then show him what humans can do." "Remember, this isn't just about winning," Jake said. "The whole galaxy is watching. How you fight tomorrow will change how they see all humans." Lisa stood up and walked to the window. The arena was dark now, but tomorrow it would be filled with light and noise and thousands of aliens watching her fight. She thought about her home on Earth, the mountains where she had trained, the gyms where she had learned to fight, the hard world that had made her strong. Tomorrow, Krextar would learn something that the galaxy had forgotten. Sometimes, the most dangerous predator is the one that doesn't look dangerous at all. The arena was completely full. 200,000 beings from across the galaxy had come to watch the fight. The noise was incredible, like standing inside a thunderstorm. Lisa walked through the tunnel toward the fighting platform. Her heart was beating fast, but her mind was calm. This was what she had trained for her entire life. Jake walked beside her. "Remember what we practiced," he said. "Don't try to match his strength. Use your speed and endurance." Lisa nodded. She could hear the crowd getting louder as they approached the arena floor. "And now," the announcer's voice boomed through the speakers, "the challenger from Earth, Lisa Kane." Lisa stepped into the light. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some aliens clapped politely. Others laughed. She could hear voices calling out things like "tiny human" and "this won't take long." She looked up at the seats. There, in a special section, were the other humans who had come from Earth. Dr. Amy Foster, Captain Roy Bennett, and about 50 others. They were all cheering loudly, but their voices were lost in the huge arena. Lisa walked to her corner and waited. The platform was large, about the size of a basketball court, with a clear energy barrier around it to protect the audience. And the three-time champion, the announcer continued, from Gorvac Prime, Krextar the Destroyer. The crowd exploded with noise. Krextar came out of the opposite tunnel like a mountain that had learned to walk. He was even bigger up close. His gray skin looked like armor plating. His hands were the size of dinner plates. Krextar raised his arms and roared. The sound made Lisa's ears hurt. The crowd loved it. He looked across the platform at Lisa and laughed. To him, she looked like a child who had wandered into the wrong place, small, soft, breakable. The referee was a tall, thin alien with blue skin and 4 arms. He called both fighters to the center of the platform. "This is a standard tournament fight," the referee said. "Victory by knockout, submission, or inability to continue. Are both fighters ready?" Krextar grinned, showing teeth like broken concrete. "Ready to end this quickly." Lisa just nodded. The referee backed away. The crowd fell silent for a moment. Then his voice rang out across the arena. "Fight!" Krextar charged forward immediately. His strategy was simple: end the fight with one devastating punch. He had done it dozens of times before. His massive fist came flying toward Lisa's head with enough force to dent steel. The crowd gasped. This was going to be over in seconds. The punch connected with a sound like thunder. Lisa's head snapped back from the impact. Blood appeared at her nose. For a moment, she was completely still. The crowd began to cheer, thinking the fight was over. Krextar raised his arms in victory, but then Lisa straightened her head. She wiped the blood from her nose with the back of her hand. She looked directly at Krextar with calm, steady eyes. "My turn," she said quietly. The arena fell completely silent. Krextar's celebration stopped. His face showed confusion, then shock, then fear. His punch should have knocked her unconscious. It should have ended the fight. He had hit her with enough force to stop a charging bull. Instead, she was still standing, still looking at him with those strange, calm eyes. For the first time in his fighting career, Krextar felt afraid. Lisa began to move. She didn't charge like Krextar had. Instead, she moved like a hunter stalking prey. Smooth, patient, deadly. Krextar swung at her again, but this time she was ready. She ducked under his punch and hit him in the ribs. Her fist felt like a hammer striking his armor-like skin. He swung again. She moved aside and hit him in the same spot, again and again. Krextar tried to grab her, but she was too fast. Every time he reached for her, she was somewhere else, hitting him, wearing him down. The crowd was stunned. This wasn't how fights usually went. Most opponents either won quickly or lost quickly. This human was doing something different. She was hunting. In the human section, Dr. Amy Foster was explaining to nearby aliens what they were seeing. "This is persistence hunting," she said. "Humans evolved to chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We don't win through strength. We win by never giving up." Krextar was getting frustrated. He was used to quick victories. He had never fought anyone who could take his best punch and keep fighting. His breathing was getting heavy. Lisa, meanwhile, looked like she could fight all day. Her breathing was steady. Her movements were smooth and controlled. She had been hit by his strongest punch and barely seemed to notice. She struck him again, and again, always in the same spots. His ribs, his joints, places where even his thick skin couldn't fully protect him. "Stand still and fight," Krextar roared. But Lisa didn't stand still. She kept moving, kept hitting, kept wearing him down. This was how humans had hunted on Earth for thousands of years. Not with claws or fangs, but with endurance and intelligence. Krextar tried a different approach. He grabbed a handful of sand from the arena floor and threw it at Lisa's eyes. In Gorvak culture, this was considered a dirty trick, but he was desperate. Lisa closed her eyes and relied on her other senses. She had trained for this. On Earth, fighters learned to adapt to anything. She hit him 3 more times while blind, then wiped her eyes clear. The crowd was becoming restless. They had come to see a quick, brutal fight. Instead, they were watching something they didn't understand. A small human systematically breaking down a champion fighter. Krexatar was breathing hard now. Sweat covered his gray skin. He had never fought for this long before. His body wasn't built for endurance. Lisa looked exactly the same as when the fight started. Focused, calm, ready to keep fighting for hours if necessary. "What is she?" whispered an alien in the crowd. "I don't know," replied another. "But I don't think she's from a peaceful world." Krextar stumbled slightly. His legs were getting weak. The humans' constant attacks were taking their toll. Each individual punch wasn't enough to seriously hurt him, but together they were destroying his confidence and his stamina. He had never met anything like this. On his home world, fights were quick and brutal. The stronger fighter won. But this human fought like something from a nightmare, impossible to kill, impossible to stop. Lisa sensed his weakness. She increased her pace, hitting him faster and more often. She aimed for his knees, trying to bring him down to her level. Krextar swung wildly, trying to land another decisive blow, but he was too tired now, too slow. Lisa avoided his attacks easily and continued her methodical destruction of his defenses. The crowd was completely quiet now. They were witnessing something unprecedented. A human, the supposedly weakest species in the galaxy, was systematically defeating their champion. In the VIP section, Wisdom Keeper Zenth was taking notes frantically. This was exactly what he had suspected. The humans weren't weak. They were something else entirely. They were predators from a world so dangerous that it had shaped them into perfect killing machines. Not through strength or speed, but through sheer, relentless determination. Krextar fell to one knee. His body couldn't take any more. He looked up at Lisa, and for the first time, he truly saw her. Not a weak little creature from a safe world, but an apex predator from a planet that would kill most aliens in minutes. A Deathworlder. Krextar tried to stand up, but his legs wouldn't support him. The human had been hitting the same spots over and over for 20 minutes. His thick skin felt bruised and tender. His muscles ached in ways he had never experienced. Lisa circled him slowly, like a wolf around wounded prey. But she didn't attack. She waited, watching his breathing, studying his movements. "Get up," she said quietly. "The fight isn't over." Krextar forced himself to his feet. His pride as a warrior demanded that he keep fighting, even though his body was screaming for rest. The crowd was completely silent now. Many aliens had never seen a fight last this long. Most tournament matches ended in under 5 minutes. This one had been going for over 20 minutes, and the human showed no signs of slowing down. In the alien broadcast booths, commentators were struggling to explain what they were seeing. I'm not sure how to describe this," said Vexoth, the main announcer. "The human appears to be employing some kind of warfare technique we've never seen before." His co-host, a crystalline Vortakan named Grixal, was equally confused. She's not trying to win quickly. It's like she's trying to break him down slowly, methodically. Dr. Amy Foster had moved to the press section and was trying to explain to alien journalists what they were witnessing. On Earth, humans developed a hunting technique called persistence hunting, she said. We would chase animals much larger and stronger than ourselves until they collapsed from exhaustion. It's how our species survived. But surely she must be getting tired too, said a confused reporter. Amy shook her head. Humans have the best endurance of any species on Earth. We can run for hours without stopping. Our hearts and lungs are incredibly efficient. Lisa could probably fight like this all day. The reporter's face showed disbelief. All day? Humans have been known to run for over 24 hours without stopping, Amy continued. We evolved to be persistence predators. We don't give up. Back on the fighting platform, Krextar was learning this lesson the hard way. Every time he thought he had gained some distance, Lisa was there again. Every time he tried to rest, she forced him to defend himself. She wasn't just wearing him down physically. She was breaking him mentally. Krextar had built his entire identity around being unbeatable. He was the champion. He was the strongest. But this small human had taken his best punch and kept fighting. She had turned his greatest strength, his powerful attacks, into a weakness by simply refusing to be defeated by them. "Why won't you fall down?" he gasped, swinging another tired punch that Lisa easily avoided. "Because I'm human," Lisa replied, hitting him twice in the ribs before he could react. Those words sent a chill through the alien audience. They were starting to understand that they had been wrong about humans. Very wrong. In the VIP section, government officials and military, leaders from across the galaxy were having urgent conversations. "If one human can do this to Krextar," whispered a Delphinan admiral, "what could 1,000,000 humans do in a war?" "We need to reassess our intelligence about Earth," replied a Vortakan general. "Immediately." Wisdom Keeper Zenth was frantically checking his database. Earth's classification as a Class 9 death world wasn't a mistake. It was accurate. The humans had evolved on one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy, and it showed. "Gravity 3 times galactic standard," he read, aloud to himself. "Predatory megafauna, extreme weather events, extinction-level disasters every few million years." He looked up at Lisa, who was still calmly dismantling the champion fighter. "They're not just survivors. They're perfected survivors." On the platform, Krextar fell to his knees again. This time, he couldn't get back up. His body had reached its limit. Lisa stood in front of him, not even breathing hard. After 23 minutes of constant fighting, she looked like she could go for 23 more hours. "Do you surrender?" she asked. Krextar looked up at her. In her eyes, he saw something that made him understand why Earth was classified as a death world. He saw the gaze of an apex predator, not cruel or vicious, just absolutely, completely determined to survive. But before he could answer, something unexpected happened. Other fighters in the tournament began leaving their seats. The massive Gorvak warriors, the armored Vortakans, the quick Zilthans. They were withdrawing from the tournament. The announcer's voice came over the speakers, sounding confused. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're receiving word that several competitors are withdrawing from the tournament." In the competitor section, panic was spreading. These were warriors from across the galaxy, beings who had never known fear. But they were afraid now. "If she can do that to Krextar," said a Vortakan fighter. "What would she do to me?" "Humans must be some kind of war species," said another. "Look how calm she is. She's not even tired." One by one, aliens who had spent their lives fighting began to leave. They had come expecting to face a weak newcomer species. Instead, they had discovered something that challenged their understanding of what was possible. Captain Roy Bennett was watching the crowd's reaction with growing amazement. "Amy," he said to Dr. Foster, "I think Lisa just changed humanity's place in the galaxy." Amy nodded, still watching Lisa on the platform. "They thought we were weak because we don't have claws or armor. They didn't understand that we're dangerous for different reasons." "What reasons?" "We never give up," Amy said simply. "Ever." Back on the platform, Krextar finally spoke. I surrender." The words echoed through the suddenly quiet arena. The three-time champion, who had never lost a fight, was surrendering to a human who looked like she could fight 10 more opponents. Lisa stepped back and offered Krextar her hand to help him up. The gesture confused many aliens. On most worlds, showing mercy to a defeated opponent was seen as weakness. But Krextar understood. This wasn't mercy. This was the confidence of a true predator. Lisa could afford to be generous because she knew she had won completely. He took her hand and let her help him stand. As he did, he whispered, "What kind of world made you?" Lisa looked at him with those calm, steady eyes. "A world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years," she said quietly. "We're still here. Everything that tried to kill us is extinct." Those words would be repeated across the galaxy in the days that followed. They would become humanity's unofficial motto as other species tried to understand what they had discovered. The referee raised Lisa's hand in victory, but the real victory was bigger than just one fight. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy, not as weaklings to be pitied, but as something far more dangerous. Survivors from a world that would kill most aliens in hours. The age of underestimating humans was over. The arena stayed quiet for a long moment after the referee raised Lisa's hand. 200,000 aliens were trying to understand what they had just seen. The small human from the supposedly weak species had defeated their greatest champion, and she wasn't even tired. Lisa helped Krextar walk to the medical station at the edge of the platform. The big Gorvak was bruised and exhausted, but he would recover. Lisa had been careful not to cause permanent damage. "Why didn't you kill me?" Krextar asked as the medical staff checked him over. "You could have. I felt your power." Lisa looked surprised by the question. "Why would I kill you? This was a sports match, not a war." Krextar stared at her. On his world, fights often ended in death. The strong killed the weak. That was the natural way. But this human had shown restraint even when she could have destroyed him. "Your species is very strange," he said. Lisa smiled for the first time since the fight began. "We get that a lot." In the stands, the remaining aliens were having urgent conversations. The ones who hadn't left were trying to understand what this meant for the galaxy. Dr. Amy Foster found herself surrounded by reporters and scientists, all asking the same questions. "How is this possible?" asked a Vortican journalist. She took a punch that should have shattered every bone in her body. "Human bones are much denser than most species," Amy explained. "Our gravity is 3 times what most of you consider normal. Our skeletons had to adapt to survive on our world." "But the endurance," pressed another reporter. "How can she fight for so long without getting tired?" Amy pulled up a hologram showing human anatomy. Our cardiovascular system is incredibly efficient. We have more red blood cells per volume of blood than most species. Our hearts are stronger. Our lungs process oxygen better. This doesn't make sense, said a confused alien scientist. If humans are this powerful, why do you look so soft? Amy laughed. Because we don't need to look dangerous. Our ancestors learned that the best hunters are the ones their prey doesn't see coming. Meanwhile, urgent messages were being sent across the galaxy. Military leaders, government officials, and scientists were all asking the same question. What else didn't they know about humans? On the Vortican homeworld, Crystal General Thexin was calling an emergency meeting. If their athletes can do this, he told his staff, what can their soldiers do? On Gorvac Prime, the High Command was reviewing all their intelligence files about Earth. We classified them as a minor species, said War Chief Groktar. We may have made a mistake. Similar conversations were happening on dozens of worlds. The galaxy's understanding of humanity had changed in 23 minutes. Back on Kepler Station, Lisa was being checked by the medical staff. They were amazed to find that despite taking several powerful hits, she was basically uninjured. Remarkable, said the alien doctor, a spider-like creature with multiple eyes. Your bone density is extraordinary, and your muscle recovery rate, I've never seen anything like it. Jake arrived at the medical station, grinning widely. How do you feel? Good, Lisa said. Ready for the next fight. The doctor's eyes went wide. Next fight? You want to fight again? Today? Lisa looked confused. Why not? I'm not hurt. The doctor looked at Jake. Is she serious? Jake nodded. Humans recover from physical stress much faster than most species. Lisa could probably fight 3 more matches today if she had to. Word of this conversation spread quickly through the station. The idea that Lisa could fight multiple champions in one day terrified the remaining competitors. By evening, only 12 fighters remained in the tournament. Over 40 had withdrawn after watching Lisa's fight. Captain Roy Bennett found Lisa in the station's restaurant eating a large meal. You're famous, he told her. Every news network in the galaxy is talking about you. Lisa looked up from her food. What are they saying? That humanity isn't what they thought we were, Roy said. That Earth might be more dangerous than anyone realized. Dr. Amy Foster joined them at the table. She looked excited but also concerned. I've been monitoring communications across the galaxy. Some species are talking about sending diplomatic missions to Earth. Others are discussing military assessments. Military? Lisa asked. They want to know if all humans can fight like you, Amy explained. They're realizing that they might have underestimated our entire species. Jake sat down with them. This is bigger than we thought it would be. Lisa, your fight didn't just win a tournament match. It changed how the galaxy sees humanity. Over. The next few days, as the tournament continued with far fewer participants, the implications became clear. Earth received dozens of requests for diplomatic contact. Trade offers poured in. Several species that had previously ignored humanity suddenly wanted to be allies. But there were also concerning developments. Some of the more aggressive species began discussing whether humans were a threat that needed to be controlled. Wisdom Keeper Zenth requested a meeting with the human delegation. They met in his private study, surrounded by data files from across the galaxy. I have been researching your species, he told them. Your planet's classification as a Class 9 death world is accurate. What I don't understand is how you developed into a peaceful, civilized species. Dr. Foster considered the question carefully. Earth taught us that cooperation is necessary for survival. The creatures that tried to live alone usually died. Humans learned to work together, to help each other, to build communities. But you're also individually dangerous, Zenth observed. Lisa demonstrated that clearly. We can be, Jake said. When we need to be. But we prefer not to be. Zenth made notes in his files. Fascinating. A species that evolved to be perfect. Predators, but chose to become builders and explorers instead. We learned that building things lasts longer than destroying them, Lisa said quietly. The tournament ended 2 days later. Lisa won every match, though she had to fight fewer opponents than expected due to the withdrawals. Each fight was easier than the last, as word spread about what she could do. The closing ceremony was different from the opening. The aliens who remained looked at Lisa with a mixture of respect, fear, and curiosity. She was no longer seen as a weak newcomer, but as something unprecedented. As the human delegation prepared to return to Earth, they knew that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer a minor species on the edge of galactic civilization. They were something new and potentially dangerous. Captain Roy Bennett received a priority message as they were boarding their ship. It was from Earth's government. Congratulations on Lisa's victory, the message read. Please be advised that we are receiving contact requests from over 200 alien species. The UN is forming a new department to handle galactic relations. Your mission exceeded all expectations. As their ship left Kepler Station, Lisa looked back at the massive structure through the window. She thought about Krextar, who had shaken her hand before they left and wished her well. She thought about all the aliens who had underestimated humanity and learned better. What do you think happens now? She asked Jake. Jake considered the question. I think the galaxy is going to have to get used to the idea that humans are here to stay, and that we're not what they expected us to be. Dr. Amy Foster was already working on her report. This changes everything, she said. First contact protocols, trade negotiations, military assessments. Every alien species is going to have to reconsider their assumptions about humanity. Lisa nodded and settled back in her seat. She had come to Kepler Station as an athlete representing her world in a sports tournament. She was returning as something much more significant. She was the human who had shown the galaxy that Earth's children were not to be underestimated. Behind them, across the galaxy, alien civilizations were having conversations they had never expected to have. About a species that looked soft and harmless, but could endure punishment that would kill most beings. About a world so dangerous that it had forged its inhabitants into something unprecedented. About the Deathworlders from the third planet of an unremarkable star system, who had just announced their presence to the galaxy in a way no one would ever forget. The age of humanity in the stars had begun.